Hey, it's us. This show is a JK with your pals, Jason and Keith. We are once again live and in your living rooms or
Can they
wherever
see
we.
me? That's the important. The important part is, can they see me?
They can see you, of course. It's always about you, for
Okay.
sure.
Well, whatever.
So let me just do this, and there I am in full force. All right, so there we are in my old school Shadow United Auto Oil Products shirt from Formula One racing days of old. We are back with you again. Another live hour of power, including the local hour, which is coming up soon, and we'll start off with that and try to get you into what's happening with COVID. And I think the thing that's surprising me most with COVID, Keith, sir, is that the United States and Germany are definitely differing a lot lately in terms of,
Li-
I mean,
Literally worlds apart.
literally
Yes.
worlds apart. And so that's starting to bug me a little bit. And I wonder if at some point, yeah, we'll talk about Wandavision in a bit, Nathaniel. Is I wonder if at some point the leadership here in theater is just going to go, well, we Americans are going to do this. You can continue to do this, but we have X number of people who are inoculated now. We have this. We have all those measures. They're safe. And I just wondered, I wonder what's up next. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very tough because, and it's very frustrating. How do I say this? I have a daughter who didn't get her college graduation, like many. I get that.
There we go.
Like many, she is having a lot of trouble finding a job,
Yep.
like many.
Yep.
She has gone back to food service, like many.
Hmm.
And I worry every day for her
Right.
because I'm afraid that she's going to catch it, or contract it, whatever you want to say, because of some idiot that follows the stupid governor of Oklahoma or some other person that doesn't believe that COVID is real.
Right.
And my baby girl is going to get deathly sick.
Hmm.
So I hate it. And when we say worlds apart, they are literally talking about opening up stores again here in Germany. So when you say, well, masks don't work, well, that closing didn't work. Well, listen, asshole. What has to happen is it has to be for a time frame. It's been since mid-November that only essential stores like grocery stores, pharmacies, other medical related stores, not bars, not electronic stores, not haircutting places.
Hmm.
Those have all been closed since mid November.
Right.
And just now, they're talking about easing those restrictions the first week of March.
Right.
So if the U.S. would get their head out of their collective asses, and I'm not talking about everybody, a lot of my friends on social media firmly believe that things like that should be done.
America.
I get that. But the other thing is, well, what about the economy? The economy will tank. Well, if the government, and again, I'm talking about politicians here, which we'll get to in a little bit,
Yeah, we're
and
gonna
more
definitely gonna
so,
talk about that.
yeah, would pull their collective heads out of their asses, and you would hear the pops as their heads come out. If they all did it at once, would follow what Europe is doing. And I'm not saying Europe is better than the U.S. In this case, the numbers don't lie.
Right.
They provide an economic within the thing they're passing. These bills they're passing, they say a business will get 75 or 70, depending on how many employees they have, percentage of last year's income so they can keep paying their employees.
Right.
It's simple. And Germany's the size of Texas. Imagine what the U.S. could do if they actually decided to do something for the people that elected them. All right, that's my soapbox. Thanks.
That is quite a rant. I was not expecting all of that tonight. That is a rant and a half. Um. So
I played golf today. I'm excited.
yeah, we'll get to that too. So again, I think the differences right now here as we talk about the local hour is that Germany is still like in a pretty steady state of lockdown, and also to be fair, the people here don't like it. They don't like it either. Whereas
No,
in the United States, there's a
nobody does.
lot of places. It's just still business as usual. Stores, movie theaters, things like that. Watching the U.S. or not the U.S. Open, the Australian Open today, with the men's final, Djokovic versus Medvedev, and Djokovic killed him, but they had hundreds of people in the stand, probably 3,000-4,000, whatever the capacity of the stadium is. It was pretty close to capacity, right? And Chris Fowler, who I like a lot, he's like, hey, listen, they killed COVID way back when. They all sort of stood their ground. They haven't had a death from COVID since October, and they have very few cases. By comparison, I think New Zealand did something similar, right, where they said, "Hey, we're going to kill COVID," and that's that. So,
Right.
again, it's just from my own perspective, it's just more fatigue, right? It's just more. It's just the fatigue of we got out of the house this weekend. We went to a place called Bacharach, like the singer. Although
Burt Bacharach?
my lovely wife thought it was Baccarat, like the game, when she first did the research and decided to do it. So it was within 100 kilometers of the garrison, so completely legal. And the good news is Sembach is part of the garrison, so that made it within 100 kilometers of the garrison. And so Bacharach, right? So it's a cute, beautiful town, but nothing's open. You could probably walk into a restaurant. Actually, we tried to get some water for Annabelle, right, Annabelle? Yeah. And we just didn't. We kind of futzed around, but so there were restaurants that were open. You can get stuff to go, but nothing else is open. So if you saw my photos on Facebook, that's what we saw, basically buildings, and it was a beautiful sunny day, so it was great to get out of the house and do that. So got out then, and we played golf today. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But Bacharach, of course, Burt Bacharach, you mentioned it, but we were talking about that, and we were listening to some songs in the car on the way back on, I think Planet Radio is having they do a great R&B and soul couple of hours. PlanetRadio.us, by the way, I recommend it to everybody. They have an app. They're on TuneIn Radio. It's great classic rock, but they do a lot of mixing and stuff. So if you're older, that's kind of a great station. But in any case, we were talking about songs that have not aged well, and a Diana Ross song came on, and I don't remember the name of it, but Dee Dee was like, yeah, this song hasn't aged well either, but I really like it a lot because she likes Diana Ross and Aretha Franklin. And then I thought, the song that hasn't aged well at all? There's a song by Burt Bacharach from the 70s called You'll Never Get to Heaven If You Break My Heart. And the lyrics actually go, you'll never get to heaven if you break my heart. And then he says, so be very careful not to make us part. It's almost threatening, like, hey, don't break up with me or your ass is going to hell. So going to Bacharach there in that part of Germany, that's what came up. So that was pretty funny. So I mean, the numbers are low here in our area, so we're down to I think we're in the 30s as far as the R number goes. I think it was down to 16 at one point, but it kind of bumped back up to the 30s. Some areas it's still 70, 80. One place it's 100 that's nearby. But so the next move I think is March 10th, somewhere.
March 7th.
So it's a little ways away
March
still.
7th.
So that I think will be a key day. Will they continue to have us basically sit on our hands and not go anywhere? I think a couple of German folks that I spoke to are like, look, if they decide to do sort of a third lockdown, small businesses are done because the big box Globus has kept open and been serving where the small businesses cannot. And I'm sure that was true in the United States. But, there was a great story, I'm trying to remember where it was, where that talked about the small business was in small businesses in Germany in the villages, they're closed and everybody's going to Globus, and they had some business owners on talking about that, and it just it wasn't that big deal. So, but I mean, I don't know what you've heard, but again, if at least in our part of the world, if it doesn't happen soon, it's gonna be not good.
Right, and we already know that, like in the U.S., a lot of the what do I want to say? The hourly employees are hurting, even though they're getting sustenance. That's not the right word.
Subsistence, yes.
Anyway,
yeah, a subsidy. Subsidy.
So so they're getting that, but again, it's not meant to sustain the lifestyle you had pre-COVID.
No.
It's meant to pay your bills.
And you have
So no,
you're
I
in business.
hadn't heard that.
And you're in business to do business, right? So if these villages and other, like our bakery's been open, right? But that's food, so food can be open as long as it's to
Right.
go. But for instance, and so like the Kaufman is open, the Tomb is open, but the little shop that serves hardware up or serves up, little things like that. Those guys are the ones that are going out of business because Globus can sell you nails or a coffee maker or whatever else it is, right? So that's not
Yeah,
good.
and just to clarify for new listeners like Monica Guthrie
Right.
or John Beckman or Jeff
What is the
Jeff
subsidy
Powell,
you speak of?
Globus Globus is like the German Walmart. It has everything.
Right.
And Tomb it would be like kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
TOMB. So yeah, so that's
No,
what we're
it's
talking about.
T
These
O O
big box
M,
stores here in
not
Germany.
TOMB.
Is it?
Yeah, that's like a tomb,
Whatever.
like you put the pharaoh in, dummy. No, it's TOOM.
Well, that's kind of how I feel when I go in
That's
there.
how we feel when we're
Um,
locked in every day too.
yeah, no kidding. So the big box stores, as you might imagine, just like in the U.S.,
Right.
are doing really well, and the smaller places are not,
No.
even though they are getting a subsidy from the government, which is
Right.
more than the U.S. small operations get.
Now, another aspect of the local hour is that the weather has changed dramatically. But here's a funny. I didn't get to talk about this. Our heat's been out for a week. Did I tell you this at work?
Last I heard, it was 3 days.
Now it's more than a week. So in our home we have a
Wow.
geothermal heating system. It's been out for almost a week. Called the landlord. Landlord came over, looked at it, was like, "Huh, yeah, it's broke." So he called the technician. The technician came over. The guy who's charged with fixing the fucking thing, he looked at it and went, "Huh, it's broke." So they both basically did what I did, which was run through the little warnings on the control panel and do nothing. So I called the technician twice this week. I said, "Hey, what's wrong?" They said, "Well, one of the pieces there's a component outside that hangs on the house that apparently needs a new motherboard." So it's like, okay, well, the house is fucking cold, and it is cold, right, Annabelle?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cold. So the house is cold. Outside is actually warmer than the house is, which is a testament to the house, really, because the house stays cool even when it gets warmer, right? So I could dig that. That's totally cool. But right now, the house is pretty cold. Like, I have to sleep in a pair of sweatpants and a sweatshirt to get under the blankets and stay warm. Otherwise, you're not just sort of hanging around in the house. Now, we have a pellet heater downstairs. Now, this is a heater that takes these small little pieces of wood, like what's the Traeger grill. I saw these at the BX today.
Yeah, it's like a Traeger. Exactly. I was trying to think of that.
Right,
Yes.
but they don't sell pellets for your heater. They only sell them for the Traeger grill, right? So, yeah, at least they're on the same page. Totally, PJ. That's hilarious. And I want to get to PJ in a minute too. Once we get past
Yes.
this, to talk about Texas a little bit too. So, and I'm not, and believe me, it's cold in our house, but it's nothing like Texas. I just want to be clear on that too. But anyway, so we bought pellets for the pellet heater, but for whatever reason, the pellet heater isn't heating the house. And they didn't really give clear instructions on how to make the pellet heater. So Dee Dee has to stand over the pellet heater and kind of, like it's a barrel with fire, like in Brooklyn or the Bronx in the 70s, and heat
Like
herself.
the other guys.
And
They're
he,
just
yeah,
standing there
and they're
around the fire.
standing around the fire, right up. So cracks me up. So anyway, we're a week without that, no heat in the house. It's cold. I'm surprised I'm in a short sleeve shirt, but after our golf today, it's like that. So anyway, yeah, we've been without heat in the house for a week. Our ice maker broke. That's kind of sad. I'm still trying to figure out how to make that. That's definitely back to 60. Wow, that's good news. Trying to figure out how to fix the ice maker, but yeah, that's kind of that.
Yeah,
You're looking at your phone, aren't you?
Well, I'm trying to get to our page. I'm on my page, and there's people on there.
So anyway, the weather turned. We almost hit 70 degrees today, so that was great news. But the funny thing was, and you know this, when we got to that ninth hole and the sun went down, it got fucking cold fast.
Yes, it did.
So that was weird.
Yes, it did. I did not put I had a thing in my backpack because you know me. I hate being cold.
Yes, me too.
Ask Monica.
Right.
I hate being cold, but I didn't reach in for it. I toughed it out.
Right.
I putted out on number 9, and So yeah, it was 70 today.
Yeah.
But in those long shadows at about 4 o'clock, it got cold. Now I feel, I know that I always complain. I don't always complain, but I say, hey, the weather here is worse than you have it in Oklahoma or Texas or whatever.
Right.
Not this week.
No.
So I commiserate with all my friends and family in the Midwest who have been putting up with those subarctic temperatures and the feet of snow they've had.
My dad's
They've
like,
had
my dad says, like Johnny
in the
Carson, how
last,
cold is it? And I want to go,
how cold is it?
It's so
It's,
cold. It's so cold. Ed McMahon won't wear pants.
or something like that. I think that's how it's something like that. I can't recall a
the
zany.
buffalo's balls are freezing.
My headdress for making predictions is in the freezer.
Or something like that, right? Something like that. Somebody will appreciate my stupid Johnny Carson. All right, so let's.
Wow, we just dated ourselves there. Okay.
Yeah. Before we get to golf, let's transition over to Texas. So Texas has been, for some at least, a nightmare. The South, in a lot of ways, has been a nightmare. You've had, at least for Texas, it has been power outages galore, and cold as witch's tits, Ray says, right? Speaking of which, we'll get to Wandavision in a minute, witch's tits in a minute, rather. All right. So, but also water outages, which is also surprising. I lived in San Antonio, Texas for 5 years, and in a million years, I would have never thought it was going to snow that bad. That said, I think what we've discovered since the pandemic started is that towns, cities, states, the nation is not very well prepared for emergencies, for like that once in a lifetime event that comes along that, military people make a binder for, go, oh, there's the oh shit binder. And you open the binder and it has a checklist and some keys and some money. And all right, we're mostly prepared for that thing to happen. I don't know that it's fair to say Texas needed to be prepared for a once in a lifetime, like a Boston snow event, right? Like a 78 was the Boston blizzard event or something like that.
Right.
John B would know that better than me. I think it was 78. Fair. What's not fair is kind of how they were sort of left to the Russian breadlines after it happened. And I don't know how. So PJ says we're lucky he had rolling black eye. And I would get PJ in on the Skype, but we know his connection might be a little unreliable. But if he wants to, you're more than willing to Skype in, PJ. I'll try to pipe you in as long as you're somewhere reliable. So the big. I did it again. Damn it. Go back to there. I just got to leave that one alone. All right. So my bone of contention, Ted Cruz going to Cancun aside, being a leader of the state and fleeing the state at a crucial time, is simply that that there wasn't so much a reaction afterward, like, oh shit, this is a once in a lifetime event. Let's fix this. It was, I don't know what it was. I'm not there. I'm 4,000 miles away, whatever it is. So again, maybe PJ or through the chat or however can give us some context on this. But I don't know about you. I don't know what you've heard, but my friends have been without water. I talked to my friend Mike. He lives up near Dallas, rolling power outages. And the power hasn't been like, okay, hey, we're going to put it back on. And they put it back on and it's off or on. He says it's just out, then off, out, then off. And they think it's going to be on, then it goes off. But he says they're doing better. And what PJ just said is apparently that the temps are warming up. So that's a good deal for them.
Well, our former coworker, who now lives in San Antonio, was without power for 3 days.
Right.
So, it sucks. It's horrible. That should not happen.
Right.
Not for that length of time.
Right.
It's happened in Oklahoma in previous years. I can tell you that a number of my friends were without power for a couple of days in southwest Oklahoma and Oklahoma City.
PJ, grab your phone. I'm going to put you on. Let's see if I can get PJ on the phone.
My daughter and her mom.
Oops, shit. I lost Keith. Shit. All right, hang on, folks. I just lost Keith. That was dumb, wasn't it? I meant to put Keith on with us, or them on with us. There we go.
Other than that,
there we go.
You've got that, and it's horrible. And to see one of your state leaders, and I will say that the Oklahoma governor the Oklahoma governor jumped and went on a ski trip right as this was happening.
Uh,
And then Cruz goes to Cancun.
Look, it's not a good look, right? It's not a good look
Right.
for that to
The
happen.
optics.
Yeah, right. Okay, merge call. Okay, let's see this.
Trying something.
PJ, can you hear?
Yeah, right. Okay.
PJ, can you hear us?
PJ, PJ, can you hear?
Yeah. Connection.
PJ!
Connection's no good. All right, we're gonna have to let that go. Let me try again.
All right.
Let's try again. PJ, can you hear us? All right, we'll catch up with PJ later. Can you hear me, Keith?
I can hear you, yes.
All right, let's press on. So, sorry about that, PJ. We will. Well, we need to. We talk to PJ kind of often, actually. I think that's the third time we've tried to talk to him. So we need to get a way to connect.
By the
him.
way, hang on just a second, if you would.
Yeah.
By the way, happy birthday, PJ.
Oh shit! How do we not know that?
Well, because I don't really care. But sorry, PJ.
That ain't right.
Brother.
That ain't right.
No, Ray hit me while we were on the golf course, or right after we got off the golf course, and said, "Hey, can you guys wish PJ happy birthday?" Yes, absolutely. So happy birthday, PJ. No fighting.
Yeah, I think the hardest part of any of this is look. So, right. So the look of Ted Cruz going to Cancun with his family during all of this is happening is a bad look. It's a bad look because he's a politician who's supposed to be a leader of the state and should be doing things like visiting people who are harder off and figuring out what they need. And I don't know if this is just a change in the tenor of politics over the last 5 or 10 years where we've, and I've said this for a while, where we've sort of just have become or are turning into the independent contractors states of America, where we're all just, our community is getting winnowed down, but we're all just like, hey, fend for your fucking self, and I'm going to go do what I want, and if you can't handle it, oh well. I know there's still community, I know there are still programs, but it's just, of all the things that I could, because whatever, if the guy can afford to go to Cancun, fine. I imagine some people were like, I'm not staying here, I'm going to go to my mother's house in whatever warmer place there is, although if you're in San Antonio, you can't get much further south, right? So I get that people can bug out and go, whatever, but bad look for a politician to do that. And PJ said the governor's trying to go after ERCOT, which is the regulatory agency of Texas, for their power, which apparently can also jack up prices, price gouge during that time.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
shit.
again, can't say enough about all our friends in Texas and Louisiana and everywhere that was affected. Very much thinking of you because it is a once-in-a-lifetime event. You're not supposed to – it's not like, okay, pull out the sleeve. You're not supposed to prepare for that necessarily. One of the things we were supposed to prepare for in San Antonio, though, was a flood because there was like a huge flood like 120 years ago, and then they had built this sort of wall just in case the dam broke again or something like that. That's like they were ready for that. I don't think anybody was ready for as much snow as they got. So I don't think it's fair to kind of say, oh, they should have been prepared or whatever. No. It's like if it gets 32 degrees in Atlanta, people drive like idiots, right? Well, they drive like idiots everywhere when the temperature changes. But in a place that is not used to cold weather, it's fair to say if they suddenly get 8 inches of snow, there's going to be problems. And that's fair. I totally get that. But the dude shouldn't have ran off to Mexico. He should have stayed there and led. That's what I feel about that. And all the memes are funny though. Memes. Ted Cruz says he didn't go to Cancun. He's got the braided hair. That's a funny one. The one I saw before I came on from Cheryl Toner was I like Ted Cruz's dog's previous owner, and it was the dude from Silence of the Lambs holding Precious above the hole, and that was pretty funny. Yeah. So that was all good. That was all good. You're watching This Show is a JK with your pals Jason and Keith. We're about 22 minutes into the show. Don't forget you can pick us up on iTunes, Spotify, and all the great places where you pick up podcasts. We'd really appreciate a subscribe and a review. We owe you a show from last week. We'll post this one and the previous show up so you'll have both of those. We're still getting a pretty good churn of folks in, but we'd like you to share that, and we can grow this a bit more. And then once COVID's over, we can figure out what to talk about aside from COVID. Wandavision, did you watch it yet? Oh wait, I'm sorry. Were you done with Texas, or do you want to
give me just a second? And what I would like to say is, if you are listening on either my page or Jason's page,
Mo-
please come to this show is a JK page
Please
and
come
comment
to
and let us know
Boston
so we
for
can
the
see your comments,
springtime.
please.
Yes.
Yes, I watched WandaVision this morning, and I thought, like you, I saw your post before I watched it. I thought, okay, well, he's very discerning. He's very critical of these things, and it was. I agree with you. It was a little bit of a letdown, but it moved the story forward.
Yeah.
And
No,
so now we've got
let me be
a
clear.
new character.
The word I used was bland. It was a bland episode, which is to say I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, having sort of binged the first 6 episodes, my take was that it was bland. I was kind of like, okay, because I was expecting the one twist that happened, kind of, sort of, because I have a bit of background on the comics. It's the one that Keith Hewen alluded to when he answered one of the things. I don't want to spoil it here. I don't know who's seen it, who hasn't on the watch party.
Right.
But I don't want to blow it. I know we probably have some folks in from my neighborhood because I invited them on a watch party as well. But I was expecting that twist. The one I didn't know was the one somebody kind of educated me on a little earlier about Captain Rambeau, when she's passed through the shield and all that and what's happening and all that. I've kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot about that part. But again, as episodic TV goes, where I was sort of like sort of gripped at the edge of my seat with the other, this one was kind of like, okay, yeah, this was the slower of the previous episodes that I saw. So just to be clear, it's not that I didn't like it. I liked it. It was just bland.
I get that. And it was not as, what do I want to say, as punchy, if you will. What I love, and this is the premise you first see when you first start watching it, the first couple of episodes. I love that this episode took a sheet from whatever you want to call it, sheet of music or whatever, from Modern Family, where they're talking to, which I love that show too. I think it's hilarious. They're talking directly to the camera, like they're being interviewed and that kind of thing. And so I love that aspect of the show. I love, and I just dropped her name. Oh my God. The one that came into the city from the outside.
Captain Rambeau. I don't know the actress's name.
No. The other one. The scientist.
The one who's on, I almost said 2.5 Men, but the
Two Broke Girls.
Yeah.
Why can't I? Kat Jennings.
Thank you.
Kat Dennings.
Kat Dennings.
Yeah, I love her. I loved her in Two Broke Girls. I love her comedy. I love her in almost anything she does.
I don't think there is a major villain, PJ. I think it's. I think they're setting up some things. I don't think there's a true major villain, but maybe I'm wrong on that.
Well, again, trying not to give anything away.
Right.
This last episode may have set up, and I haven't seen PJ's comment yet. May have set up the bad person. So we'll see. I'm interested to see where it goes from here.
I am too.
And I look forward to it.
The things that I read sorry to interrupt, but the things that I read as we were talking about on the golf course was that this is supposedly setting up the horror portion of the Marvel universe, and I don't like horror. Like, I don't like horror, and I don't like gore. So if they are setting up I liked the Doctor Strange movie more than most, and like Thor Ragnarok and Doctor Strange are actually two of my favorite Marvel movies. And I especially liked Doctor Strange's a cameo in Thor Ragnarok. I thought that was like, oh, that's perfect. He's Doctor Stranging it for real, right? So, I'm concerned about that, but not overly, because I was concerned about Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was a fantastic film. So there you
go. Your dad said Kat is a real upfront What is it? Is real upfront actress, and I don't know if that's a double entendre or not.
Usually is with my dad, so it's probably true. Yeah. With my dad, yeah, it's usually a double entendre for sure.
Okay. One I'm on right now is I just started season 5 of Breaking Bad, and I'm like you. When even up till I first started watching it, which was a week and a half ago, I was not interested in Breaking Bad. It just did not appeal to me. I didn't want to watch it, and then I was shamed into it by our boss and our new coworker.
Shamed into it.
And
That's funny.
yeah, shame. Anyway, so he said, just watch the first 2 episodes. If you don't like it after the first 2 episodes, that's fine. I was hooked. I think the first night I watched 6 episodes. And that started last weekend. And now here it is Sunday, and I'm on episode 2 or 3 of the last season. It is a phenomenal show. It looks great. It's obviously well acted. It's won all kinds of awards when it was on. There's some things that I forget that it ran from like 2003 to 2008, something like that.
Right.
So everybody has a flip phone instead of an iPhone, or something like that. When I first started watching, I thought, when was this set?
Right.
But it's set in the early to mid 2000s. So okay, everybody has a flip phone and that kind of thing. The main character, Walter White, has a Pontiac Aztec.
That was the worst car ever. It was like a rolling greenhouse on wheels. The back of it looked like a terrarium, and the front of it just looked like shit. So that was.
And everybody in the cast is phenomenal. There's some that you go, okay, you're being an idiot, and I'm tired of you being an idiot, but that's just the character. And I highly recommend you watch Breaking Bad.
I think I think Breaking Bad is on the same list for me as Forrest Gump in that I probably will never watch it. And I have no. Dee Dee watched it. She loved it. Like you, she just thought it was like many thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I don't doubt that for a minute. John says Better Call Saul is just as good. I have no doubt. He's praised Better Call Saul for a while.
Coach.
But I won't watch it. I don't. It's not my bag. So I respect everybody who does, but it ain't my deal. Ain't my deal.
I can't make you. I can just make fun of you.
Well, you do that pretty well too. Let's move on to the Sports Minute, and let's start with the good news, which is pitchers and catchers reported. I saw my first video of Clayton Kershaw throwing real, actual practice, and I was very happy. So that's good news. But you have a big news. Well, you don't have the news. The news is old, but you have this trade thing that happened, which is interesting to me. But I don't know that it's blockbuster necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a blockbuster, and it's not official yet because they can't do it. It's the trading hasn't started
yet.
Wait
until like April, I think, or March.
April. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So the big news is Carson Wentz, the supposed phenom that was at Philadelphia and has a huge contract, is going to the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
They will absorb that big contract. They need a quarterback after Phillip Rivers retired.
Right.
And so, is it a good fit? I don't know.
Does Frank Reich think he can rehab Carson Wentz into something special? Again, Nick Foles is the one who won the Super Bowl. That's the bottom line there. Would he have done, acted as coolly and calmly as Foles did? Who knows? But I don't think so. I've watched enough games with the guy to realize he just seems kind of, his feet move a little too much and he seems a little scared. And I think just more was made of him than what was needed to be. And it's good that the Eagles moved on, but now what are they moving on to? So to me, it feels like that Frank Reich has taken on a project here. The big news to me is still Matthew Stafford to the Rams. That to me is just a really solid trade. They gave up a lot to get him, but I think that's the piece that gets them to the Super Bowl win next year, because they've been to the Super Bowl, I believe. But I think that's the one that gets them the win, because he is a graduated veteran who. Why did the video stop? I must have only set it to go for a minute. Oh well. Yeah, once. All right, let me fix that. Boom, forever. I'm sorry, I like my technical things as a producer. All right, here, let me just do this real quick. Watch this. And back. Oh, that's awesome. That's a good production value right there. But in any case, I just always thought...
Yeah, Pete... No, go ahead.
Happy birthday, Connie. That Wentz had nervous feet in the pocket to me. He was always one of those guys. Stafford's, I think, is a great move there. I'm really, actually, as a Raiders fan, I'm really interested to see what's going to happen in this offseason. I know people say, oh, Carr's our guy. Carr's going to be the one, all this other stuff, yada, yada, yada. But I'm not as firmly cemented on that. I think that they like Marcus Mariota for some reason, and okay, I dig that. But I've just never been as big a Derek Carr fan as a lot of people have. I think he just passed Ken Stabler on yards last year and a few other things. But we're 10-6, 8-8, 9-7, 6-10, and we've been that way for a long, long time. We didn't even have a winning record after that Super Bowl loss to the Bucs for a very long time. So it's just that's more interesting to me than Wentz any day. So, and I'm not saying anything will happen to it, but I'm just saying I think it might. So we golfed today.
We did. We went out.
So we
to
need
the
to
golf
tell you all
course
about
today.
that because it was a glorious, sunny, beautiful day, and we were like 5-year-olds on Friday anticipating this.
We were. I think I peed a little after I made the tee time.
And it totally lived up to it. It was like I said, it was almost 70 degrees at the start of the day, and then we managed to get in. Well, you managed to get in 9 holes. I managed to get in 7.5 holes, but I finished off with a 60-foot chip, so that's not a bad deal.
Yeah, you ended on a good note.
I ended on a good note, yeah. But I didn't. I was hurting so much by that 9th hole. My inner thighs felt like they had just gone Famke Janssen killing a guy in GoldenEye. They were hurting something fierce. See, I think you get that because you've seen GoldenEye. So if you've seen GoldenEye, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But in any case, my thighs were hurting, and I just, we both started out really clumsy and hadn't swung the club. And the other thing was, the only thing that was a bit of a negative was it was crowded, right? Our tee time was delayed.
Yeah.
How many hours?
It was delayed an hour. That was because of frost first thing this morning on the fairways.
Right.
So they couldn't get out at 7:00 or whatever it was that they wanted to.
Right.
So everything was pushed back an hour. So our tee time was actually 3:57 our time. We were wondering, and we almost did not make the entire front 9.
No.
So,
It was
but we
close.
mate it.
And I'll say
And
this.
We both. Go ahead.
I got some. If you saw the photos on Facebook, they were great. And then while the sun was out, it was nice. As soon as the sun went down, it was 4 fucking degrees. It got cold in a hurry. Because I was in this nice long sleeve shirt and this wonderful vest I was given as a gift. It was perfect. I mean, it was just for when we were playing. It was perfect. You still are wearing your shit. So, but as soon as that sun just was like. I mean, it was like you could see it, and as soon as it would dip down, it was like Iceman. It was crazy cold. So yeah, it was a fun day though.
Yeah, it was. When the sun got behind those trees and those long shadows were out there, kind of like this. This is the golf course. In fact, this is number 8. The hole he hit his 60-foot chip on the other side of the water.
Yep. Right in front of that bunker,
so,
by the way. See the bunker that
yeah.
it's over Keith's right, but to your left shoulder. That bunker is where I just went la 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 dunk, and I literally said out loud, I said bink, and you went what? And it said clink, hit the pin, and went right in. It was awesome. So that was like, okay, now I'm done. I can walk it off now. I'm good. But I mean, before that, it was
and then
just
I 3-putted.
It was military golf, left, right, left for sure. At least for me, it was.
It really was.
I think I lost 4 balls. So, but again, expectation management, right? We got out there, we did it. I hit 3 fantastic shots. That was one of them. There were 2 others. I'll take that for 9 holes, not having played for 6 months. You were like, why am I not playing like a PGA pro that I am capable of playing like in my dreams? And I'm like, dude, you've been idle for how many months? You went out 1 other time or 2 other times that I didn't go because you were like, hey, I'm going to try and brave the weather. And I was like, fuck that. It is way too wet and cold. But you did it. Good for you. But still, I mean, for me, it was like, okay, I'm off the shelf for a couple months, and I still feel it. I took 2 Tylenol earlier, but I still feel it here. Still feel a little in my legs. It's hoitin'. So, but it was good. I'm not knocking it. First world problems. I'll take all the aches and pains in the world.
Yeah, my lower back is a little tight right now. We'll see what happens when I get up in the morning, if I can make it down the stairs without my knees popping and cracking.
You're gonna be calling in, going
any more than
I
normal.
I gotta take a knee today in the old public affairs office, guys. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to write that headline. I've got this thing right here, this sacroiliac in the back. It's well, we do not.
It was a good time, and
we
didn't even keep score.
No, we didn't. I think you started to. I'm like, put your fucking pencil down. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Yeah, it's age. It's been age for the last 5 years for sure. All right, so we do not have a bracket this week. We are once again bracket deficient, but we'll put the new one up tomorrow because I'm going to do it regardless. I have no idea what it will be, but let's see. What's next week? Next week is, well, Dee Dee's birthday is Wednesday. No, it's Friday. Friday? Yeah, I think it's Friday or Saturday. Anyway, aside from that, what else is coming up at the end of the month? Is it a leap year? Do we get a 29 this year? Does anybody know? I don't think so.
No.
No. People would be making more of a big deal out of it.
I'm looking at my calendar.
The memes would already have started on that shit. 29? Yeah. I'm not even 30 or something stupid like that. Whatever. So anyway, we'll figure out the bracket next week. Ides of March or something like that. Best Roman emperors or something like that.
The best way
that
for
would make Daniel Nathaniel's
an
intellect. He'll like that. Best Roman emperors. We'll do that. No, I'm just kidding. We're not doing that. So, what else is big that we haven't really talked about? I mean, we've hit just about everything. I think, man, we could almost just wrap it up now.
You know, well,
you're like good.
Just,
give back
just
20 minutes.
And this is an aside. This is an aside that just so everybody thinks that all that's going on in the world right now is COVID. That's not true. We saw a news report this past week. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. I don't even know if you know about this. Yeah, you did because I texted you. So about 2.5 hours, 3 hours away from us, there was an emergency report that some people in the admin offices of it's a fairly good-sized supermarket chain called Lidl here in Germany, in Europe. 3 people were injured after opening a letter bomb. So that harkens me back to the 80s when the Red Brigade was around and all that force protection was going on and all that. So, Europe's great, but force protection is a real thing. What do I want to say? So, yes, in our part of this world, our senses are heightened. Obviously, COVID is the number one adversary we're facing right now.
Spider-Man, they're heightened.
Right. But, things like that still happen. There was a protest, and I don't know what for, that had 15,000 Germans protesting against something yesterday in Berlin. I don't remember. I don't know if it was COVID. I don't know if it was taxes. I don't know what it was, but 15,000 Germans in one place. Expect those COVID numbers to go up. There's just all kinds of things happening.
They can't protest without masks on or something.
Well, maybe that's it. I don't want to wear my mask, so I'll get sick.
Never know.
Please see the beginning of the show.
All right, so not as serious. So Kim and Kanye are getting divorced. Is this like not news, or is this like one of those things like, we were expecting it all along? Have you ever watched the Kardashians? Because if you have, you're never going to be on the show again. But go ahead, be honest.
I have never.
Okay,
no,
good.
I have
All
never watched
You get to,
it. I don't
because I was going to say, if you watched it
Kardashians-
even once, PJ has become the new guest host of this show. Is a JP. Yeah. No. Okay. Good. So I've never seen it either.
No, I've never seen it. I don't understand why the Kardashians are famous. I've never understood that. Kim made a sex tape. Okay.
Yep.
But and they're all relatively attractive. I get that.
Right.
But so is 10,000 other people in Hollywood. So they have a famous dad. Okay, I get it. That's half of Hollywood is nepotism. I get that.
Shit.
But why are they famous? Why are they a show, a spin-off show? Just because you're born into this family, you are automatically famous. They are not royalty. They are just 3, 4, 5, however many. Get a sex change. You're famous. Whatever. I can't stand the Kardashians. I can't stand them.
I don't keep up with it. I get that a lot of times what
Kardashian.
Kanye is doing is trying to generate publicity for himself and keep the spotlight on him and keep attention and sell music and okay, fine, whatever. I don't care about that. But people are aggressively interested in like these relationships that those are perpetuated on shows. And so I admit right now, right up front, I watch TMZ almost every night. It's on at 6. It's on before Family Feud. Family Feud makes me laugh, and I enjoy watching that. It takes my brain out of public affairs and all the stupid shit that probably happened that day with GGG and TLE. But I could take all that stuff out, and I could just engage and watch people say dumb things on Family Feud, and I'm good. So... but that you get the Kardashians, and then that's perpetuated on TMZ or Entertainment Tonight. And then did you see where Kim got a migraine and her boyfriend didn't bring her any aspirin? I don't care. That to me is what those shows kind of amount to. So I don't know. I guess them getting a divorce isn't that big a deal, but
it is to a lot of people apparently.
Yeah.
So yeah. Before I came over here, I was on TMZ every day because I'm kind of a celeb file, I guess. I don't know, but I don't go into it. I don't go into it that much now and I refused to watch TMZ TV for a long time. But like you said, when we only have 7 channels to choose from, and the thing I really want to watch comes on at 7:00 here in Germany, and TMZ's on at 6:30 or 6. Then it's on while I'm eating dinner and whatever. But some of the things they put on that is, hey, we caught up with X celebrity.
That's a good point, Daniel.
Yeah, we caught up with Patrick Schwarzenegger on the sidewalk as he's getting in his car and asked him how he felt today. I don't give a fuck. I do not give a fuck.
I don't either. I was watching the the Australian Open today, and I played very little tennis. Tennis has never been a sport I've been good at. I've been pretty good at other sports, baseball, football. I played a little basketball, but never that. And so the only thing I can't stand about the tennis, I love Chris Fowler. He's the main announcer, but John McEnroe does not need to be saying things on television anymore. He can just go ahead, and you know why they have him. You know why they have him, because he made big stinks in tennis tournaments when he was younger, and he's from New York, so he's a draw to the largest population on the East Coast. I got it. But he just like, John McEnroe is here to say things. John, all right, I will now say something. His mid-court game really needs to improve. He's just saying these ubiquitous things that you're like, okay, what? We don't need that. So, but that said, I know what I wanted to talk about, and I almost forgot about it. How about this engine that almost fell off of the United plane? Did you see any of that video?
Briefly, yes.
Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can find that.
It looked like the cowling fell off, and it was an engine fire. I don't know. Shit happens, and they have 2 engines. If you're on one engine airplane and it catches fire, okay, you're in trouble. But the airliners today, whether it's a 737, I don't know what kind of plane it was. I didn't go that deep into it because I was worried about getting ready for golf.
Right.
They're made to fly on one engine or 2 engines. If it's 3 or 4, whatever. They're made to fly. Now, they're not made to fly far,
right?
But they're made to be able to get you to the nearest airport and down. If you're over the ocean, well, you can probably reach land.
Let me see if I can. I just found the video on YouTube. Let me see if I can bring it up here real quick. Hang on one second. Keep talking while I try to do this for our people.
Well, and PJ says it scared the crap out of several people. Of course it does. And you know me, PJ. I'm an airplane geek. I know all that, but I guarantee you, if I looked out my window
Right.
and I see my engine on fire, I'm going to be scared. I'm
Okay,
going to
I've
be
got it.
worried. I'm never going to
I've
see
got
my
it. Let me,
daughter anymore. So go with it.
Hang on one second. Let me switch over to this page. All right, so hang on. I've got it. I got it. Okay, let me. Shit. How do I do that? Oh, right there. Okay. One moment, please. Yes. Okay, so let me show this. Here you go, folks. So this is the engine on fire. I know you can't see it, Keith, but I mean, if you're the passenger in this window, this is from 9 News in Denver, by the way, and you're looking out the engine that is shaking, it's on fire, literally on fire in the back here. This is unbelievable. I wish you could, I mean, you probably see it on your watch party, but this is...
I can see it. Oh, yeah, it is in here, isn't it?
I can't even imagine how many egg rolls I would be shitting right now. But they landed safely, so I guess what I would say is kudos to the pilot who was like, oh, the engine's on fire? All right, let's land and go home. Because that's probably the way it was, and he was probably an Air Force guy, so go that. But
with the Texas draw.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may see out
You may
our
notice
right
that one of the
side
two
that
engines that we have is
our
completely fucked.
engine is on fire. Yeah. Well, we're going to land a little bit early today, so...
we were supposed to go to Hawaii, but we're not going
just-
to be going to Hawaii today. We're going to be going back to Denver, where we'll be putting out the fire on that engine that is 15 feet from that passenger in row 21A. And we know you're filming it with your phone, so congratulations for you on getting the best footage of the most recent airplane disaster in the United States. By the way, we'll be coming up in the aisles to collect your empty glasses, and please remove your trays to their upright position. Thank you very much. Have a great
And
day.
clean your seats.
And thank you for flying United, as always.
Yeah.
That is...
There's
I
no
want to look at it
reason to
again.
bend over
Look
and
at it
fish your
again.
ass
Hang on.
by
Let's look
again.
at it again. Okay, so it's still playing here. Let's see. Oh, it switched to another video. Why did it do that? You son of a bitch. All right. Anyway, so that's... that was the thing.
Yeah, that'll get your attention for
It's
sure.
the fire, right? It's the fire in the engine when you see that in the cowling, and that's how turbines make thrust is compressed air, boom, and out comes the right, and so that's cool. But there's this ring of fire right there, and it's so cool. So
Nice.
and nobody was hurt, so I could say it was cool. Nobody was hurt, and again,
Nobody was hurt.
pilot
The
said,
plane landed safely.
The pilot just said, let's turn this bitch around, go home, we'll get it on the ground, no problem. Kept it
You
stable.
know what?
Two engines. One of them's like, "Hi, I'm on fire and doing nothing." This one's like, so he just probably just went, "Root," got the flaps around, just said, "Let's just go ahead, put it on the ground."
Oh, we're being pulled. We're being pulled to the right all of a sudden. Yeah.
One of the big front ring on the front of the engine. I don't know if it was a cowling, but it was just right on the front. That landed in someone's front yard. So that picture was today. I didn't really have time to prep for that, but that was it's pretty amazing. Again, you gotta. One of those times when it would have been like, no, I'm glad we have human beings on board to fly the plane, because what would a robot have done, right?
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I have always wanted to take the emergency slide down.
Everybody
from
does.
An airplane.
Yeah, no, everybody does. Everybody wants to do the emergency slide for sure. Yeah. No, but even if there's a fire, everybody wants to do that. I mean, we're all 6 years old, right, when that happens. So.
Right.
All right, you got anything else?
Yeah, not in. I've got a couple of weird news stories if you're interested.
All right, go ahead. We got about 8 minutes.
All right, so let's see. Let's do this one. A man is warning people against using headphones while falling asleep after healthcare workers had to remove a wireless earbud from his esophagus.
So, little personal note for you. Each night before I fall asleep, I have an iPad by my bed, and I usually put on some film I've seen a million times, and I start to watch it. Gets me to fall asleep in like 10 minutes. I rotate the films. So the 3 films that are most prominent that I rotate to help fall asleep are Star Trek: The Motion Picture, Murder on the Orient Express from 1974, and then there's a couple of comedy specials that I put on. When I do that, I put a headphone bud in my right ear, because that's the side I sleep on. I sleep on my left side. I put the headphone bud in my ear, and then I fall asleep. I have not yet once swallowed it. So, just so we know, see, Daniel, Nathaniel, and I, we are kin. He falls asleep to podcasts. Not a bad.
Just
I knew I wasn't unusual.
for,
Thank you, Daniel.
for John B. This is in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Worcester.
Resident Brad
Worcester.
Gauthier, Worcester, who detailed his bizarre experience in a Facebook post.
Yeah.
Went to bed Monday, listening. This is a week ago.
Yeah.
Listening to music. Woke up Tuesday, shoveled snow for about an hour, then went inside to take a sip of water, but the liquid would not go down. There's a joke in there somewhere. And he had to lean over the drain to drain the water from his throat. Gauthier said, also noticed that he was missing one of his wireless earbuds. Blah, blah, blah. Hospital with an x-ray at a local clinic. The small plastic device was lodged in his lower esophagus. Gauthier said he never experienced more than minor discomfort. He told NBC Boston that Boston 10 that he wanted to share his experience to caution others not to sleep with their headphones. And then there's this.
I do. As long as they don't go up my ass, I'm okay. If I swallow it, whatever. I'll figure it out. In the movies, they always swallow things and then poop them out, and they're like, okay, let's get this into the computer and analyze it,
Right. I'm afraid of those needlefish that will go up your urethra.
Whoa!
If you're
Nobody needed that.
If you're swimming in the Amazon or something like that, which, whatever. But, I mean, those needlefish, those will hurt you. Rest assured, Chucky is not on the loose.
Are we still talking about
Texas? This is State Line, San Antonio. The Texas Department of Public Safety has apologized after mistakenly issuing an Amber Alert that said the killer doll featured in the 1988 horror film Child's Play was a suspect in the kidnapping of his 5-year-old son, Glenn Ray. Wait, what?
What?
I don't know. The emergency alert described Chucky as 3 foot 1 inch tall, a 3 foot 1 inch tall doll wearing blue denim overalls with multicolored stripes, long sleeve shirt, wielding a huge kitchen knife. The alert was mistakenly sent out 3 times.
3 times.
Mistakenly sent out 3 times.
Right.
Last
TMI,
week to
Dad.
Amber Alert subscribers. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Well, I didn't say it happened to me. I said they scare me.
All right, so I'll close on this. I watched the documentary about Aaron Hernandez that's on Netflix.
Really?
And it goes through essentially sort of childhood to his suicide, and actually it goes past that to how they overturned the law in Massachusetts so that he can continue to be a convicted murderer, which I think had more to do with the New England Patriots than it did the victim's mother, but that's another story. 2 things I got out of it. One thing is he was convicted for the 2 murders of the 2, he was convicted of the Odin Lloyd murder, but he was not convicted of the other 2 murders. And toward the end of the documentary, they started bringing up the notion of CTE. I know it was CTE that led him to do this, and it had to be CTE. Because there was kind of a Junior Seau. They brought that up and everything else. I think the guy was a sociopath, and having now seen enough documentaries with Didi, enough to know, I think the guy was a sociopath. I think he did what he did, and he knew what he was doing.
He thought he was untouchable.
I'm sure, yeah, exactly. And I think that the CTE was a problem, for sure. It's a problem in any NFL player, but as there are literally thousands of NFL players who've gone through this, and none of them are going around and shooting people in order to make themselves feel better, except in Junior Seau's case, unfortunately, he shot himself in the chest to preserve his brain, and that was a very sad day because my mother was a big Junior Seau fan, and I actually was too. I thought he was great, and he was that American Samoan who became a success story, and it was very sad. But anyway, my point is, as I close, and I'll throw it to you, I recommend that documentary. It's fantastic. Highly recommend. And then the other one I recommend is Marvel Behind the Mask. And it talks about Marvel characters and why Marvel succeeded from the 60s on, and how it sort of brought in the notion of other races in comics and other, to a degree, not so much, but gay characters in comics. They actually didn't do that very well, and they admitted it as much. But they also talk about how, and if you're ever going to get Marvel Comics, it's get this. They're not as concerned about and this was the juxtaposition, and I thought it was great. I had never heard it this way, but it's DC tells stories where Batman is the character, and the person Bruce Wayne is the sort of the person in the costume. With Marvel, it's Peter Parker is the character, the one you care about. Spider-Man is this sort of costume thing. So they were the first ones sort of to bring in this sort of humanistic edge and psychology and all this other stuff. Anyway, Marvel Behind the Mask, also on Netflix. Highly recommend it. It's an hour worth your time. And I got to see my friend Lee Williams, who's a writer for Marvel. She and I did a Comic-Con together, got to know each other a little bit, so it was good to see her. All right, I'm done. Go ahead.
Oh, cool. Just for clarification, those that don't know, CTE is a brain disorder often associated with the crunching and crashing and hits and falls of football. And so, yeah, CTE is a big thing. And as PJ said, I think PJ brings up a great point there, is CTE is most often associated with suicide and not murder. So anyway, it was great to get outside today, have the sun on our face, play golf. For those of you still under feet of snow and maybe no heat, our hearts go out to you. So bear with it. I know, as PJ said, it's supposed to be 60 tomorrow or Tuesday or whenever. So hang in there. And those of you northerner people who are bagging on the southern folks, hey, you know what? Leave them alone. Their houses aren't made for that. They don't know how to drive in that. I actually am lucky. I learned to drive in Omaha. So when I got to the South, I could still drive when there is a few inches of snow on the ground. But other than that, have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. What do you got?
Have a great week, everybody. Gary, your picture's almost done. I did it again because the first one sucked. Talk to you soon, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.